Hello and welcome to this new episode of Continuum Gaming, and in this episode we are having a look at something pretty special, if you ask me. It's called the Kids Mode, and it's an app or patch, I don't know how to call it because it's both, which will enable you to create some kind of, for instance, an environment with limited access to different kinds of things, like for instance apps, settings, some kind of notifications and stuff like that can be limited with this. And it's going to give you the ability to create a smartphone, for instance an emergency smartphone or something for a kid, for a child, whatever. And for instance you could create something for a not so tech heavy user. So if for instance you are a little bit afraid, or the person is just confused and overstimulated more or less from what he is seeing or she is seeing, then you can in the end limit the access on the smartphone to certain kinds of services, apps, and so on and so forth. And this is the app to do that. It's a very powerful one. Just to let you know, be very aware that if you are using this with your daily smartphone, for instance, it might mess up some of the application folders, for instance, not in the system itself, but on the desktop more or less, or on the action screen, whatever. And it's a little bit troublesome sometimes to get it to work if you used, for instance, other patches already, which changed the application views or whatever in between. You will have to test it out if it's going to work for you. I already had a couple of smartphones where it didn't work, and I had some where it worked, so just try it out if you want to use this. If you have a pretty vanilla one, so you are just creating a new one and you just want to give only access to a couple of different apps or whatever, but don't want to deinstall everything, then this is really working very well, and it should work like you want it to work. For that reason, I'm not using my daily driver in this case, but my older one, the 10.2 in this case, Sony Xperia 10.2, which I'm going to use to show you everything in this episode. Okay, so let's have a look at what we can do with this app, what you can set up, and so on and so forth. So let's go and have a look at my smartphone itself. As always, I'm just showing you everything on the smartphone here, on the big screen too, but there might be a pretty big delay here because it's the oldest smartphone I have for that. But as mentioned before, I don't want to mess up all my different folder structures and stuff like that on my other smartphone. So if you like I had to try out stuff and jump around and do stuff, then maybe use something you don't use as your daily driver. But whatever, it will work. It will not deinstall anything or mess up everything. You just may have to put in some fixing to get rid or to get back to what you wanted to have there with the folder structures on your application windows and stuff like that. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm just going to show you where to get this app first. So first off, if you are new to Sailfish, of course, you can go in the store menu and then you can just search for the different kinds of screen or different kinds of stores. In this case, you will have to go to Storeman, or better to say to Open Web Browser. And if you click on that one, it's going to start up. And in here, if there are updates available, you get this kind of information there, which is sometimes a little bit annoying that it's at the top, if you ask me, but whatever happens. And then just go to the search here. And if you go in the upper menu and go to the search window, you can just put in kids. Should be enough already, we will see. Yeah, there we are, Kids Mode, and you already see it. It's called Patches, but it has a graphical user interface, so whatever it is, I don't know. In the end, just install this one, so go on that one, and then you can go to the upper menu here and go here, and here you will find install. I already have installed it, so just did I? No, yeah, perfect. So just have a look at that and see if it's working for you then. Okay, after that, if you did that, then you are going to go back to your home screen in this case. You can now just shut Storeman off if you want to. And then you can go to the lowest point in your app drawer here, and here you can see this is Kids Mode. Kids Mode can just be activated like this. Okay, and here you can see the interface of Kids Mode. Kids Mode is a really simple one at start, at least. And as you can see, I already created Peter as my example one here. If you don't have anything, then you are going to be presented with just an empty screen here, and there's some kind of an information, hey, create your new user first or something like that. If you want to do that, you just go to the upper menu again, into the settings in this case. And if I activate that, you come in here, and this is more or less the settings page where you will create, for instance, the different kinds of users too, and you will create different kinds of abilities for these users too. Okay, everything is done here. Later on, you are just going to click on the icon there at the start, and you will activate it or deactivate it like that. But what you already can see here, you have a couple of different options. One, for instance, is if you want to go into the Kids Mode, or if you are going to Kids Mode, which kind of action should be performed. So if you click on that, you can see you will have the option close all applications and hide applications. I, for myself, think that closing all the applications is pretty useless, depending, yeah, maybe not. Maybe it will help somebody, but more important, hide applications is a really probably the thing you want to do here, okay? So this will, in the end, get rid of all the applications you didn't specifically select to be shown, and that is interesting. And just to let you know, it's not going to be deinstalled or anything, it's just going to be not available from the interface, okay? So in the end, if you want to do give it to your child, for instance, or something, then you might not want to give them access to something like the console or something, terminal, just in case, because then they could activate everything again from the console or terminal part there. But if you have that in mind and you know a little bit about it, then you can easily work around that. What can you see here else? You can, for instance, see that you can deactivate the Android support or stop it at least at the start. You can, of course, do that when entering or when exiting the kids menu, whatever. This will help you because, of course, depending on the apps you're going to select and stuff like that, which are going to be shown, you can really say, okay, only native apps, for instance, are allowed in this case. And there are a couple of other things. Very important, require PIN to exit Kids Mode. So that is one I would highly recommend you to do, because then if you want to get out of the Kids Mode, you have to put in a PIN. And it doesn't have to be the PIN of the smartphone itself, it can be something else. Very important, everything that you do here is, it's going to stay there even if you restart your smartphone, okay? So once you are in Kids Mode, you really need this PIN to get out of Kids Mode in the end. Otherwise, you will have trouble to do that. So make sure that you are really aware which kind of PIN you used there. And as you can see, changing the PIN at this point. And I think if you are setting it up for the first time, you are actively going to be forced to put one in. Please make sure that you really don't forget that one. Okay, very important, otherwise you will have trouble. Okay, other than that, there is this backup option. I highly recommend you to use that. There's a backup option and a restart option. So first off, when you're starting this, do a backup. In general, it should do its own backup at the start, but still do it. And if you really want to get rid of the Kids Mode again after that and something happened to the configurations or whatever, you can restore it at this point. In general, it should work without it, but just to be sure, do this, please. So, and then we are going to go at the bottom here. One of the functionalities that doesn't work for me is main ambiances, and the author himself already told us about that. So the main ambiances, you can't change them per kit or whatever by this. You can of course do it in any kind of other way using the settings and stuff like that, but they are not going to be visible with a different ambience or whatever if you set it up here. There is no option to select that at the moment. If that is ever created in Sailfish OS, that you can do that, get the ambiances or whatever from within an app, then they are going to create this functionality too. And yeah, down below you find add new user. If you click on that, you can create a new user with different kinds of abilities. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my Peter user with you together, just to show you what's going on and how to do everything. Just because this one is functional and I had trouble with other smartphones and stuff like that to get this to work. So please try it out before you're giving it away. Sometimes it just doesn't work like it should. The good thing is, if it's working, it's really working perfectly well. But if not, then maybe something is happening, okay? Depending on if you have other patches installed and stuff like this, and you just have to try it out if it's going to work or not for you. Okay, so first off, I'm just going to click on this Peter icon. It's really all you have to do. It's the smallest button at the whole screen, and that's a little bit unintuitive, whatever. If you know what you are doing, it's easy to run around that. But this one is going to give the user options what Peter should be able to do, okay? So first off, you give that a name, so you can easily get that. You can, for instance, change the color of this too if you want to. So clicking on that will give you the option to select a different color and stuff like that. More importantly, select applications, okay? So we are at the launcher part. So launcher is, of course, the overview of all the apps which are installed, and this one is going to be changed so that there are no other options than the ones you selected here, okay? So first off, just click on that button, and if you go into that, you are going to see every kind of app that he can recognize on your smartphone. And give me a sec. Yeah, and as you can see here, every app that is installed on your smartphone in the drawer menu is shown here. Very important, what you will not see is something like shortcuts to websites or whatever. Those are not in this application list, so he can't use them there. But what you already can see, it's going to be Android apps and it's going to be native apps all in this interface. Okay, and now if you want to get any of these apps available, you can just scroll through the list here. So if you go down, you see a lot of other stuff here too. Interestingly, I can even see the ones here which are links. I'm not sure if that's working. Try it out. Maybe it's working for you. I think it's not working for me, but I'm not sure. Anyway, just scroll down, and as you can see, I just selected a very few ones here. The most important ones: telephone, contact, camera, for instance. Maybe some kind of a messenger app, in my case, Streamer. The calculator, and maybe headphones to be manipulated with, or whatever you are using there. So these are the apps we will see later on if we are in Kids Mode with Peter at the user level there. And these are the ones we are going to be able to access. All the ones which are more or less disabled in this view are not going to be shown to any of this, or to this user in this case. Not any, but this user. Okay? So I'm just going to leave it like that, just to show you everything and work with that. Same thing is with the top menu. So top menu means the one you can access if you go up there. What can you see at this point, okay? If you go into that one, then you will be able to select different kinds of abilities here which are going to be shown, and the other ones are not going to be shown. So in the end, as mentioned before, we can't go this favorite ambience part there. We're not going to select that in this case because it doesn't change anything. If I go on that, you will already see it's empty because the functionality is not yet there. Anyway, anything else should be available here. And if you go into here, for instance, you can activate or deactivate them. There's this bulky light, selected light, whatever you want to call that, at that point there. And with that, you can just select different kinds of things to be available in the top menu if you're in the user. And all the other ones you see here are not going to be shown. I, of course, set them up in some kind of way. It doesn't really matter what you do here because it highly depends on how you want to use it. For instance, Android app support should maybe not be activated if you selected that it should be stopped if the user is starting the Kids Mode for Peter, for instance, in this case. And yeah, like this, have a look at all these. You will see a couple of different things you might not even know about, but all these kind of informations are there. These are all settings, stuff that should be shown or not. And if you want to give the user the ability, for instance, to change the language or the time of the smartphone or whatever, then just select that, and otherwise just leave it empty, as you can see here. And as you can see, what we will see later on is the orientation part will be active. We will have the font size active. I just selected some stuff, okay? It's not very logical what I'm doing. I'm just testing it out with you. You will have the spotlight or the light bulb, whatever, and you may have, for instance, mobile data to be activated or deactivated. What I actively didn't select was, for instance, Wi-Fi, maybe VPN or whatever. Maybe you don't want your child, if you're doing this for your child or whatever, to be able to go to a don't disturb mode, or you don't want it to be mutable or whatever, then just select all this. Okay. Other than that, that's more or less what you can select at this point. We are going back. Here you can see a couple of different things which are can be shown on the event screen. So for instance, do you want the user to see the calendar entries on the event stream or not? Sometimes, for instance, you might even have something like a weather app or something like that. If you install that and it's registered with the system, it will be shown up here in addition to the ones you already see here, okay? Other than that, just go down, and as you can see, notifications can be or cannot be shown in the Kids Mode too. So for instance, should it be shown on the events view or shouldn't it be shown? Or should you see pop-ups if something of an event is happening or not? This might be very important depending on what kind of events in your smartphone are available or not. So make sure you select the right one. In some situations, you will have to just test it out once or twice before you can see if it's really what you wanted it to be, okay? So let's go back here. And as you can see, that's more or less all you can do in this application here for Peter in this case. We can go in there again, see everything. As you can see, we already selected everything. And now let's try out the Kids Mode, okay? So for that, we go back to the main screen here, and what you can already see is we have Peter here. If you have several users, which you can have, then you would have a couple of different tiles like this, and you can just click on one of them to activate them. And I'm just going to click on Peter, and he is going to do the different changes which are necessary for that. And as you can see, this is going to be your application window for the Kids Mode. And what you will have to do is you will have to put in the pin at this point if you want to leave the Kids Mode. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to go out. The app itself is always shown. So no matter what you're going to do, the app itself will be available on your screen. But what you already can see, I selected just a couple of different apps, and only those are visible to me on the drawer menu. Like this, only those are available to the user. Very, very helpful, very interesting that this is possible. And yeah, other than that, if you, for instance, go to the top screen here, you can already see it here. Okay, cool. We have only the couple of things I selected there. Font size was it, not to be disturbed. I think I had that activated or no. And so on and so forth. Only those are available which we selected there. And like this is more or less now a very limited use case smartphone for people, for instance, who are easily overwhelmed or whatever, or for instance, if you just want to protect your child from different kinds of scenarios, whatever, then this is really, really helpful for exactly that. If you can, of course, just close down this Kids Mode app and go back in later on with the icon on the screen. Works exactly the same way as you would expect it. If I go into the Kids Mode now, and I'm just going to put in my pin here again. You can see Peter is now going to be deactivated more or less. We are out of kids mode now, and if I go back, everything is still there and we can use the smartphone in the usual way again as it should be. Very, very powerful stuff if you ask me, very helpful, especially in this kind of scenarios if you need this kind of thing. But be aware of it. It can be a little bit troublesome to get this to activate if you used your smartphone in very different kinds of ways. If, for instance, you created another patch or you used another patch which, for instance, changed the event view or changed the top menu view or what changed, for instance, the app drawer view, then you might run into trouble. At the patch level, if you go in there, the patch manager is of course available in the settings app. So just search for it, there we are. If you go into this one, in the patch manager, you can see the patch which is at the moment on. Make sure not to touch this too much, because otherwise you're going to run into trouble. Please try to do everything in the app itself, not in the patch manager. Anyway, if you go in here and have a look at the patch details in this case, you might find different kinds of information about all this. If you set it up in the right way. Sorry, I'm not going to show you that. It really doesn't matter. It's more or less for log informations and stuff like that. Then you would have to go to the settings up here, set that up to be available there. And just to let you know, in the web catalog, you can't find the kids mode itself. You will have to go to the open repo store, storeman or whatever you want to use there, and use it there. If you have a look at that, let's see if I can easily find it like this. Otherwise, okay, too much to search for. I'm just going to go in here. The author is giving you some hints which will give you information about what you should or should not have installed before that, okay? So, okay, that's a pretty big delay, as you can see here, whatever. In the end, what you can already see here is he's going to tell you a lot about the app itself, and if you scroll down, here are notes. Please make sure to read them carefully, okay? So, as you can see, newly installed applications will have to be deselected before you can get rid of them. That's very important for all the different users, of course. So if you have a couple of them, you will have, if you install a new app, to deselect that if you don't want it to be showable or visible for every person there. Then the pin itself is stored plain text. Doesn't really matter much because it's all about only this one, and you should not use the same pin as the smartphone itself, of course, in general. But it's saved in plain text, so be aware of that. Other than that, there are some conflicts, as you can see, with other patches. Be very aware of that. And the folders might get, more or less in trouble, aren't restored after the restore button in the settings. Can be the case, can't do anything about it. If you are really into folders a lot, make sure that you don't install this one, because this one might mess that up, okay? Other than that, I think you can already see everything is pretty nicely working. It's still a pretty new patch, not exactly new because there was an old version, but this is a new version of this patch for the Sailfish OS 5.0 versions, and it works pretty nice if you can get it to run and you didn't have any kind of other patches, whatever, before. If you had that, try it out. It may work, it may not, depends on what you want to use there and how you did install that. Yeah, and this is more or less all I wanted to show you. I find this is a very powerful one, very interesting patch, very useful in some situations if you really need this kind of stuff. And so make sure to get this, try it out if you want to, and if you have this kind of scenario to be covered by your Sailfish OS smartphone. Other than that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, of course. If you have any kind of questions, comments, whatever, put them down below in the commentary section. And if you didn't subscribe to the channel till now, the button is down below. Please get it and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. Other than that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, see you around, and bye bye!